Hi, it's Susan Short with FBTV, and have we got a fantastic show for you guys today? We have Luke McMaster, and he is here at Florida Studio Theater. On how sweet it is performing many nights a week, and we're going to get into it. So, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. You came on our radar. One of my band members saw your post first. It
Uh-huh.
was so kind. You were so complimentary, and so I was thrilled to try and follow up with you and chat with you. You seem to love Motown, which we have in common, so it's great.
Absolutely. Well, I do, in addition to having the magazine, I do a lot of music PR. So
Great.
I'm very attuned to it. And I have a lot of music clients in California,
Mm.
actually. So, that's one of the other reasons I really wanted to talk to you. And I was very taken. I go to almost every single one of Florida Studio Theater shows, and they are a spectacular gem of a theater. Like the curation of the
Mhm.
shows is just superb.
It is.
So I'm curious to see how it came about. So this show that you're doing, was this a brainchild of yours and you brought it to Florida Studio Theater, or does it have something to do with the documentary? Tell us a little bit about your history and how you came here. It's a
Yeah.
loaded question.
No, it's a great question, and I'm actually happy to talk about it because, sometimes I get a little paranoid about this show feeling like it's maybe a little bit self-indulgent because I've been really lucky to get to actually, like, not everyone gets to meet their heroes and even
Yeah.
work with their heroes, and so I talk a lot about that in the show, but it's really just me kind of bursting at the seams to carry on some of what I was lucky enough to be privy to.
Yeah.
So it started with me as a kid, just for some reason, just absolutely loving Motown, and my hero was Smokey Robinson. I talk about it in the show, and it's 100% true. Like, because I just had always had this real falsetto and this high range that I could sing with. When I first started singing, I was actually very embarrassed about that. I had three brothers. I came from kind of a hockey town in Canada. No one in my town was in a band. No one, like, it was, and if you listen to music, it was usually like kind of Guns N' Roses, and
Right.
so
And that has a place, it
oh,
has a place.
and I actually love Guns N' Roses, but it was
Yeah.
just, and it's funny because I found out afterwards, my friends were all super supportive of it once I kind of, revealed what I was actually doing. But I really hid
Mhm.
it from the world. I hid my songwriting from the world. I
Wow.
I taught myself how to play guitar down in my basement bedroom. And my mom could tell you, one day she lifted, there was a loose floorboard, and she was like, "What the?" And there were like stacks of papers of lyrics, all these kind of love songs that I was writing because I was literally terrified for anyone to find out. So yeah, and then once I kind of revealed it to friends, family, and I ended up having to kind of move to a larger city like Winnipeg, and then eventually Toronto, and
Uh-huh.
and now I'm in transition heading to Florida, which I'm really excited
Uh-huh.
about. But yeah, just um, had so much support about it, and just always just found Motown to be really foundational music for what I was into. Even when I got into more of a pop band, and we can
Uh-huh.
talk more about that later. I was in a band called McMaster James that were like a kind of a pop soul duo in Canada. We had a gold record, we had a big record deal,
Nice.
but we were very exclusively in Canada,
Okay.
and never were able to break into the U.S. Um,
Really?
yeah, which was I was it was unfortunate, but we had a great run. But yeah, we
Oh,
actually showcased in LA um,
wow.
for some big labels, and we just weren't quite there, I guess. But
How
I
many
just never
years ago was that? How
that
many
oh
years
my,
ago was that?
that would have been early 2000s,
Okay.
early 2000s, like, yeah. So, but it's funny, we all of our songs that we wrote, you could check out McMaster and James, a song called
I
Thank
think I
You.
have.
Yeah.
I already have. I follow you on Spotify and I listen to your music
Oh, great.
already. So
So
I've
so
done my homework.
so it's kind of like
It's
soul.
great, Luke. It
It's
really is. I'm not saying it. I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you right now, because I interview a lot of people. I mean,
yeah.
it's really good.
Thank
Don't give
you.
up on the dream. I'm
No,
telling
no,
you.
no. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and
Yeah.
I would never know how to give up on the dream. I'm
But
kind
I
of
mean,
addicted to it.
your music and your voice is fantastic. And if it didn't hit at one point when the musical tastes were of a certain genre, that doesn't mean you can't remaster, revisit.
A
Just
hundred
putting it
a hundred
out there.
percent. Yeah, and sometimes I do McMaster and James in some of the touring I do. I'll just throw a song in.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like it was very classic soul and Motown, but it had pop production. So you'd think, oh, these are kind of just pop songs. But if you dissected them, you'd go, oh, that was really influenced by like Smokey Robinson or Marvin Gaye, or like the chord progressions were very of that kind of ilk. But
Yeah.
and then I just I was also very blessed to get a publishing deal with Universal, and I landed a couple of big what you call cuts with some big artists and stuff, and
Really? Such
yeah,
as?
Rihanna would
Great.
by far the
Love
biggest
it.
one. She recorded one of my songs, which was
Wow.
a bit of a game changer for me as a writer and a producer at the time.
You can't ask for more than that. That's
No,
like many musicians' dream.
well,
Seriously.
you could ask that she released it as a single to radio, which they never did. And if they had done
Oh,
that, then it would be like, very
yeah.
game changer. But I was
Yeah.
so no, it was really cool. But and then I just I did some songwriting production for a little while, for several years actually. I also did a little bit of acting. I did some commercial work in Canada. I was kind of like I loved improv, which another thing I like about Florida Studio Theater is that
Improv.
there's all these improv classes going on around us, and Jersey Boys
Yeah.
is across the street. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway,
great.
so yeah, and but then I found my way back to performing and touring, and I ended up recording an album. I got some. You can get government grants in Canada for recording, which is really cool. And so I got this. I happened to have a friend of mine that was kind of a manager, and he was just like, you should get back to singing and performing, and get out of the studio. And it was really something I kind of wanted to do, but I just needed someone to kind of kick me in the butt to do it. And then
Uh-huh.
he got this funding for me, so we recorded this album, which was called All Roads, and it was a lot of soul and Motown covers and a couple of originals, and it just it kind of set me on another trajectory of like starting to do a little bit of touring, and I ended up actually doing a couple tours with like Jim Brickman, who I don't know if you know.
I do know who that is.
Yeah,
Absolutely. He's great. He's wonderful.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
recorded a song that he and I had written on the album, but it kind of brought me to this weird serendipitous thing where a publisher in LA actually
Mhm.
heard the album, and he was really taken by it, and he just said, you're very influenced by soul and like Motown, and he goes, why don't and you're a songwriter, and he's like, why don't we get you together with some of these legends and
Uh-huh.
do another album, but just like collaborate with them, because he's like they're still kind of kicking around, like. And I was like, well, that would
I
be.
know Smokey is. I
Yeah,
know people
yeah,
that know Smokey. I know he's still doing it. Yeah.
absolutely. And so I was like, that's an incredible idea, but I just was like, I didn't really believe he'd be able to make it happen. I just would,
Mhm.
it just sounded a little bit,
Too good to be true.
yeah, a little bit. And it was such a brilliant idea. I was just like, I wish I would have thought that a long time ago. It's just having the contacts to actually be able to get one of these guys to pick up your call. Do they even,
Right.
they're kind of semi-retired. Do they want to be doing this? But he made some phone calls, and he said, Luke, I want you to call Lamont Dozier. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, he wants you to call him. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, yeah. And he gave me his number, and it was hilarious because I called him, and he was like cranking my album. I could hear my album on in the background.
Wow.
He's like, hey,
That's
hey,
awesome.
wait a second, I got to turn this down. And he was like, I think one of the first things he asked me was he wanted to make sure I was actually white. He goes, you don't sound white, which was kind of a compliment to me. Like it was, and he was just such a character. And then he just said, yeah, like if you want to come to, he lived in Las Vegas, and he's like, if you want to come down, and he goes, but he said, Luke, I don't want to like do like beats and like modern stuff. And it's
Uh-huh.
funny because he'd had kind of a bad experience. I shouldn't say bad experience, but he hadn't enjoyed a writing session with Kanye West,
Wow.
because Kanye wanted to sample him, and just
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes like, I don't want to do that. And I go, well, Lamont, I just want to write music that is pure Motown, and I just want to learn about Motown. I want to do it totally old school. I even
Mhm.
want to record it old school as much as I can, live off the
Really?
floor. And he just loved that. And
Yeah.
so we got together and we started writing a couple songs. And then right away, my writing partner Aaron and I, and Leeds Levy, who was I should credit him for, he was the guy that was connecting these dots. And he has an amazing resume too. But I was just like, Leeds, like we gotta record this. Like we should capture this on video because
Yeah.
it's like I was
History.
it's history. And I had tried to do I always try to do research before I get together with any kind of like musicians, like check out what they've done before, or like learn a bit about them. And I couldn't really find a documentary about them. Like
Yeah.
there's little things here and there, but there's no real documentary about them. And I was just like, maybe this is be really cool. Like when we're writing with him, he really lets his guard down. And I feel like most musicians are at their most vulnerable
Vulnerable.
when they're in the studio, like writing and recording. And so luckily we were able to get a bit of funding together, and friends of ours were involved with Comcast Xfinity, and they were able to kind of, we actually shared a video crew with a shoot that Comcast was doing for another music program, but we kind of like
Uh-huh.
piggybacked on it. It's a
Uh-huh.
long story, but like
Great.
when they were kind of like taking breaks, like we would have the camera crew like run over and like film what we were doing.
Mhm.
And so we kind of piecemealed the documentary together, and I turned out, I believe it just turned out so phenomenally well. And
Where can we see it? Where can we see
go to
it?
my website, just go to
Okay.
lukemcmaster.com, and I have it
Okay.
streaming on YouTube just for free.
Okay.
You can just go, and I keep forgetting to mention that at the shows because a lot of people ask me after the show, like, well, what about the rest of the documentary? So it's just on my website, and that's what led to the kind of crazy Smokey Robinson calling me, because I ended up getting on the radar of this company called Green Hill, which was taken over by Primary Wave, which is a massive publishing company that had just bought Smokey Robinson's catalog.
Okay.
They were looking for people to reimagine some of Smokey's music because
Uh-huh.
they had paid just an insane amount of money for it. So they want to find as many uses for that music,
Yeah.
and create more like royalty streams and blah blah blah. So I got this phone call from Green Hill, and I actually knew I'd done some work for them in the past, just on smaller projects, and they were like,
Uh-huh.
"Would you be interested in recording an album of Smokey Robinson's hits?" And I was like, yeah, like, is that a facetious question?
That's
Of
like a
course.
dream come true, right?
Yeah,
That's
like
a
I'm like,
dream. That's like your childhood dream come true,
yeah,
right?
it was absolutely that.
Yeah.
And so I just was, that was a dream come true.
Uh-huh.
Record the album, and I just absolutely, and again, my writing partner Aaron and the band we hired to play on it, like absolutely poured our hearts into it. Like it was just, I got obsessed, completely obsessed with it. And I did this version of Ooh Baby Baby,
Uh-huh.
where I took, like, we
I've heard it. I heard it. I listened
yeah,
to it.
yeah,
It's
and
amazing.
it's
You
very,
you remixed it. It's so good. I love it. I love it.
thank you. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It's great.
if you listen to it next to the original, it's very, very different. It's like
Yes.
30 beats per minute faster. It's in a
Yeah.
different time signature. It's
I
like,
love that though.
and so I was like, and it's funny, I said to my writing partner Aaron, I said, if Smokey ever heard this, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't really believe he would, I was just like, if he ever actually heard this, he will either hate it or he will love it. There won't be
Uh-huh.
any middle ground. And
Right.
so we finished the album, and Primary Wave, were really happy with it. They loved it, and they put it out. And a lot of times they'll take albums that aren't even on necessarily major labels, but they will at least get them on Pandora, and they'll get them on streaming platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was getting some rotation.
Traction.
Nothing like major, but it was, you might hear it if you were listening to Pandora. You might happen upon it on a playlist or whatever. So Smokey Robinson is a massive golfer. Like he's obsessed with golf. Has been for most of his life.
Uh-huh.
He has done a lot of celebrity golf tournaments, and a friend of his is a golf pro that has caddied for him at times, and she was listening to Pandora. This is just a couple of years ago, and heard "Ooh Baby Baby," and
Uh-huh.
then so she was able to like I don't know if she had to Shazam or whatever, but she
You
found out,
saved it and sent it to him?
and yeah, well, no, she so she freaked out. She was just like, she just loved it, and she's like, who
Uh-huh.
the hell is this guy? So she was golfing with him like
Uh-huh.
the next day, I think, and some other people, and she goes, Smokey, come over to my SUV. I want to play you something. She had a nice stereo, and she's like, he's like, yeah, yeah. So she cranked it for him, and he got out of the car, and he's like dancing in the parking lot, and then he was like, play it again, and he made her play it for him like 5 times in a row. And
Oh, wow.
lost his mind. And so
Yeah.
he's like, I need to talk to this guy. I gotta
Uh-huh.
talk to this guy. And she's
Uh-huh.
like, I don't even know, like, I'll have to like, let's figure out who he is. Well,
Uh-huh.
so they eventually gone to my website, and your website, people can email you, and
Right.
I love it when people email me. It's great. And
Yeah.
so I got this random email. I'm a friend of Smokey Robinson's. He wants to talk to you. And that was
You
kind of
probably thought that wasn't even true. You probably thought that was bogus, right?
well, it's so brutal because I've ignored him a few times now, not on. So I ignored that. I ignored it for
Oh, yeah.
probably a week went by. I
Uh-huh.
just thought this looks like some crazy, weird AI scam. Like
Right.
they found out I'm a Smokey Robbins, and then now they're gonna like ask for my like, bank account information or something,
Right.
um, for the chance to meet Smokey, whatever.
Right.
So, um,
Well, yeah, sign me up.
so yeah, so I luckily I was at my mom's place. I happened to be in Florida at the time. I was at my mom's house visiting with my wife and my kids, and we were just sitting there having a glass of wine, and I was like, I got the weirdest email. I said this to my mom and my wife Tracy, and I was just like, I just got this weird email, and they're like, what? And I go, I feel like it's a scam, and I don't even want to respond to it, but it's something is niggling. I just need to make sure. Like, what do you think? And they were like, what if this is actually true? You should actually get back to them. Like, or and she left her phone number. So I'm like, well, okay, if I call her, like, what's the worst that can happen? So
Yeah.
I called
Well,
her.
they could record your voice.
Yeah, that's actually true now. I know.
Yeah.
So I called, and right away I knew that she was totally legit. She just said,
Wow.
she goes, I used to be a golf pro, and I set up these celebrity tournaments. I would help kind of organize them, and I became friends with Smokey, and blah blah blah. And I right away I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I knew Smokey was a golfer. I actually was able to quickly Google her and go, yeah, you did this. I see your name here. Okay. And then she's like, he wants to call you, and I'm like, great, please. You got my number. So a week goes by. I don't hear from him. Another week goes by, and then she texted me. She's like, Luke, what are you doing? Like, Smokey's tried to call you like 3 times, and you're not. He left you a message, and you never called him back. So I was like, what? I haven't gotten any everyone just texts now, right? And emails. Like, I
Yeah.
don't get a lot of phone calls typically.
Right.
And so I was just like, I didn't see any calls coming in that were unusual. Checked my voicemail, and
Uh-huh.
I play it at the show just because it's just so hilarious that, and
Uh-huh.
the voicemail, I kept it.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, yeah, hey, it's Smokey Robinson calling, Luke. Give me, when you get the chance, if you wouldn't mind. So I called him back, and I had the most. Thankfully, that was so stressful. By the way, like, it's just. But
And how did you did you apologize? Hey,
yes,
I don't really listen to my voicemails because I don't listen to my voicemails. So,
right.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people relate to it, because
Yeah.
we're not. If you really needed to get a hold of me, you text me. But
Yes.
I'm not saying Smokey needed to text me. I should.
Right.
But anyway, what I think what had happened, in my own defense, like, I was outside of Canada, and it was just going straight to voicemail, and I just didn't catch it. And
You didn't catch it. Yeah.
but anyway, so he picked up, and he was like, we had such an amazing phone call, because like I've always had this weird, and maybe it's not so weird, just thing about like this white dude from Canada, with in Hockey Town, just singing Motown, and
It's a great story. It's
yeah,
amazing.
and so I just always was, and I just never, singers are very insecure. We're all just like, we're our worst enemies. We're our worst critics.
Yeah.
I've never thought I was like an amazing singer. I thought eventually I thought I was a good singer.
Uh-huh.
And I worked hard to become that because I started singing very late by a lot of my friends who grew up singing in churches and stuff. Like they've been singing since they were 3 years old. I started when I was like a teenager. I never even
That's
played any
so good.
guitar or anything until I was in my teens. So I was
Uh-huh.
always playing catch up. So I always had this weird insecure thing, and it kind of held me back when I was on stage. Like I wouldn't always kind of feel like I should really go for it. And so he was like so encouraging and complimentary, and just like he's like, man, he goes, I would get you to open for me, but I don't want you. Like man, you can sing. Like he just kept telling me how he loved the versions of the songs, and
Yeah.
it just was like this true gift of like, oh my God, like it's okay for me to like, I don't have to have those feelings anymore. I can get on stage and just really enjoy myself and just really like let go of all that stuff. And he was also, him and Lamont, they were just like, it's really cool how you really want to just tell these stories and learn. Like it's like you want to go to the University of like Motown.
Motown. Yeah.
And they thought they just loved that, and they just loved that, like the music, that the way that I'd recorded it. They just felt like it's like, now you're really trying to honor it as best you can. And
100%.
it was just an amazing thing. And so, you know so I'll bounce around a little bit here, but I really felt like after those experiences, like this documentary idea of mine should be a series, like a Netflix series.
100%.
But get together, write with these old school guys, interview them, have different guests on, and just tell their story through the lens of like working on music in the studio, rather than just
Yeah.
sitting them in on a chair and just. Um, but I think Netflix gets maybe 1,000 documentaries pitched to them every month, probably more. And it was just, I couldn't get past all the noise of that, and it was
Yeah.
very frustrating. I was just like, I really want to tell a story about these experiences, and I also made a promise to these guys that I would do so, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm finally kind of getting around to your earlier question of like how I came upon this show, and it was just these experiences I had, this documentary, and and I was touring with my band, The Undercovers, which is a whole other thing, which is super fun, and we tour a lot in Florida,
Okay.
and we were asked to like, we ended up talking to Catherine at Florida Studio Theater and really hitting it off with her, and she actually wanted to have The Undercovers potentially do a show there.
Uh-huh.
We weren't available to do that. The guys had other commitments this summer, and it just didn't time out. But I was like, I'm usually in Florida in the summer anyways, and I'm actually thinking about moving to Florida. So I was like, why don't let me tell you about this other thing that I think could be a good show
Uh-huh.
based on this documentary. And they loved it. And they even came up with the title, How Sweet It Is, which I love, because they were just like, you know, I initially was going to call it like Icons of Soul, and it just didn't tell the audience much about kind of what it was going to be. So we kind of collaborated. Catherine has done so many of these shows. Florida Studio Theater, like you said, have curated so many of these shows.
Yeah.
And it was like a duck to water for me. Like I was like, this is the perfect way for me to tell my story in a really concise way and get on stage every night, get in front of like, I don't know, like 9,000 people over the course of the run, and tell this story and just have so much fun. Like it's just very cathartic for me to do it. My other musicians just have had so much fun. No matter how tired we are, it's like even last night, like a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I don't know if word's spreading, but we before we even like as we were walking on stage, like people were standing up and cheering. So
That's so
obviously
fantastic.
people are
Yeah.
kind of like, it's just resonating. These stories are just, I think, really resonating with people, and that just makes me so happy. Like it's just like, hey, would I like to have a huge like Netflix series? And yeah, that'd be great. To me, this is just as good. I just want to be telling the story, chatting with people afterwards, having a small part of maybe keeping the Motown legacy kind of relevant, and that's all I can really ask for.
And the show runs, I have a couple questions and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit later. The
Yeah.
show runs until September, is that correct? When
No,
is,
I think if they extend it, it'll be around August the 10th.
oh, so everybody only has another month to go see How
Yeah,
Sweet It Is at
that's
Florida
right.
Studio Theater.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Come see it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just, I can't sing the praises enough because it was way better than I expected. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't realize it was going to have your personal experiences and the documentary elements to it, which I thought was fantastic. I would have liked to see even more of that. And I would have liked to see a bigger screen
Yeah.
behind you. I
Yeah.
think that would have been interesting, or multiple screens or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
it's great. It really is, Luke. It was one of the best shows I've seen. I thought Divas was great too, and
Yeah.
that was a little bit different, but this just was really fabulous. I hope you can tour in other parts of the world with it.
Yeah,
Is
I
that on
want
tap?
to. I want to because um, I definitely think it would be really a shame, even since probably you've seen the show, it just gets more and more comfortable. I love the fact that we're doing it over and over and over again because it just, I always say the less you have to think and the more you can
Yeah,
just feel it. So I'm
yeah,
not really having to think about what I'm saying or singing. I can just totally just connect with the audience without any kind of like discord. Like it's just like, and
yeah.
we're just having more and more fun. It's funny. I would have thought by we're week 7 now, I think, you'd start to get a little
Tired of
exhaustion, but it's
it.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just this music, I guess. I tell people too. It's like they're like, well, how can you get up and you sing the same songs night after night after night? Like, do you ever get bored? And I'm like, well, let me ask you something. Do you ever get bored of someone laughing at your best joke? Never. You'll tell the same joke for your entire life as long as people are laughing at it. So
Yeah.
so yeah. But I do like. I've already had actually a few people that are at like gated communities or a couple theaters that kind of are hearing about this show.
Yeah.
And because I tour so much, and I actually do a lot of my own booking, and I
I
know.
was going to ask you, who does you have somebody who does your booking? Because I know somebody who books shows that I can tell you about. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not really our interview, but I can,
I would
if
love
you're
that.
interested. Yeah.
I would love it because it would just be a shame. Like this show would work in all kinds of formats, and like you
Oh,
said,
yeah.
like a slightly larger theater with maybe a larger video screen, and I could
Yeah.
implement a little more of the video. I think I would love to even have a video running even before the show starts, just so
That would be great.
they could
Yeah.
hear a little bit of my life as a song, see us working on it with Lamont and stuff, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just think we're so tight now. It's like, well, and
Yeah.
I said to the guys, like, after this is over, like, would you guys want to like go and do a couple of 2-week tours here and there, go to California, go like do whatever, and they were like 100%. So
Yeah. Well, good.
yeah.
So what's next? What's next on tap for you, Luke? So when the show ends, what's the plan? Where can
Um,
we find you? We can follow you on social media. We can look on your website, but
yeah.
what's next in the world of Luke?
In the world of Luke, well, I'm already working on another show with Catherine for Florida Studio Theater.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I don't think I can tell you what it is, but you'll love it. It's
Okay.
it's another dream come true. It's a slightly different concept, but
Uh-huh.
it's very related to what this was.
Yay.
Yeah, I pitched it to Catherine, and they, because I'm planning on, and I'm actually in the process of moving here because I'm just spending so much time in the area, touring with
Okay.
covers, and they seem to be excited about having me help kind of produce some other shows, which is something I really really love doing. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, so I'm already kind of working on that. I have a bunch of tour dates in the fall and into 2026 with the undercovers, and I actually do some of the stuff that's in How Sweet It Is. There's a couple of smoky moments that we do in the show.
Uh-huh.
We also do some Lionel Richie. We talk
Nice.
about his relationship with Kenny Rogers. We do like
Okay.
Islands in the Stream, and talk about the Bee Gees. So that's a super fun. You would love it. And the guys that I play with are just phenomenal talents. Like they're really really great.
Nice.
And so we have actually shows in Punta Gorda.
Okay.
I know we actually are doing a show right near here in well, we got a show in Naples. We have a show in even closer to here. I'm blanking on the
Oh,
anyway. It'll come to
okay.
me later. But
St. Pete? St.
St.
Pete?
Petersburg. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. That's right.
Where are you going to be in St. Pete? I was just there yesterday. Where at Palladium?
That's no. Let me look.
McAfee?
Uh, let me find it.
Well, it's okay. You can let me know later.
Yeah, the Beach Theater, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, St. Petersburg, the Beach Theater.
Okay.
Yeah, so that looks really cool. And playing at Arts Bonita Theater, Claremont. We're playing Dr. Phillips in Orlando. Uh,
Great.
yeah, so we're very Florida's just we just love it. Like we love there's so many theaters, and just the demographic is just so responsive.
Perfect for what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't need to tell you that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
100%. So you're still in Canada. You're still living in Canada and thinking of moving here?
Well, I no, not really. Like I'm renting a house or a condo here into the fall, and
Okay.
I have to go back to Canada for a little bit in September, just for a couple weeks, and then I have a temporary visa, but then I'm applying for a more permanent visa, and yeah, I'm kind of gonna just be here.
Great.
It's just a matter of some paperwork, and I'm really excited about it. My daughters are into gymnastics, and the gymnastics programs here are like my one daughter's very competitive gymnast, and just
Uh-huh.
the Florida programs are incredible. So it's like,
Yeah. Great.
oh,
That's
hopefully get
great.
into that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's been so great talking to you, and the history of what you've done and how sweet it is just amazing. And make sure to go see How Sweet It Is before August 10th, and go see Luke McMaster and the Undercovers, and check him out on his website. Follow him on Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
YouTube. Check out the documentary of Lamont Dozier, because that is going somewhere, we hope.
I hope
And
so. If anyone out there wants to know someone at Netflix or Amazon Prime, like let me know.
put a
And yeah,
good word in.
check out the undercovers.com.
Okay.
For all the tour dates are right there. And then
Okay.
yeah, and then hopefully just follow me and like you said, LukeMcMaster.com if you want to see the documentary. I would love to and reach out to me if you have any stories about Motown. A lot of people have their own stories. I talk to people every week where they're like, you know what, I was a flight attendant and Smokey was on the flight and we chatted about that. I love all those stories. So
Great.
yeah.
Well, this is Susan Short with FBTV with Luke McMaster. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we will see you next time. So I'm going to stop recording.
Wow, that was great. You're